I'm sharing my screen. This I'm going to record on behalf of my beloved teacher, Sri Nithyananda Swamiji. I attended his workshop. There are two workshops I did called Nithyananda Dhyan Yoga and Nithyananda Kriya Yoga. And the first time he started doing it online. That's the biggest breakthrough. And if you want to know him, you can do weekly. Every Sunday he does the Kalpataru, which is a free program. It's offered to everybody. So there is really no limitation to how you want to participate, and he has tons of YouTube videos. The webinar I like, and I'm going to explain why, because sometimes you need to be um, like initiated. They call it initiation. The reason is sometimes our understanding would be different from what the truth being told. So when you follow somebody who is a living teacher, then that living teacher student energy itself corrects our perception, because there are always the way our body relates to the world is through our memory we hold inside of others from this world. This is called Maya Beach, which is actually illusion based living. The only person who can take away this illusion is our teachers. Teachers come from different forms, different belief systems, but whoever you connect with, you would be able to do it. So if I say the American way, whoever I connected with, that is the one I am following now. And I used to have another teacher who ascended. He's my ascended master, and he told me before he died that it would be very important for me when I connect with my teacher that to physically go and honor him. And that's a promise I made to myself. If I ever come across a teacher that I connect with, and I'm going to go see him. And I did connect with Sri Nithyananda Swami, and in 2016, I went and stayed with him. The reason is we need to exchange the breathing space, and also that is the way we fill in with all our past experience. So we come into completion at that space. So teacher gives us the choice to move forward with a new beginning. And I'm so grateful I found my teacher. And since then, I've been following him. And this is the new webinar he opened up, which I love. So that's what I'm going to talk about today. The first webinar is called Nithyananda Dhyan Yoga, and it's $100 webinar. It goes for 2 days. And then maybe I'll stop sharing my screen. That way you guys can see. Does it say disable? I have no idea how to stop the screen sharing. Maybe this is the way. I know. So I can make it bigger. Probably this will be better, right? This way you guys can see me. So Nithya Yoga is a 2-day workshop, and then that is followed by Nithya Kriya Yoga, which is a 5-day workshop. And I'm a clairvoyant, and my teacher, of course, is the ultimate source of this clairvoyance, Akashic records, which is held. And so he fills me in on things I need to know, and I connect with him with my heart center. It's called the Ascended Heart Center. It's called Ananda Ganda, which is like the divine heart. And Sahasrara Chakra is another way we can connect with him as well. So each person is called to connect a specific way. Third eye opening he does. You have seen probably a lot of videos online about his blindfold reading with the kids. So he trains the younger children to bring them to the highest potential. So why I like both Nithya Yoga and Nithya Kriya Yoga is because it makes it, first of all, very easy. You can do it from your home, and the initiation is done online, and it's amazing. I really enjoyed the conferences, but it would be ideal if you can to go in person and meet him. So he has different programs, and I'll explain that after I finish the Nithya Dhyan Yoga, Nithya Kriya Yoga, the connections. Okay, Nithyananda Yoga is to clean all seven buried energy blockages in energy centers. These are called chakras. The seven energy center is the way we come into the world. We have to come into completion in these energy centers, and these are called rays, RAYS. And every being is, they always come with this component, like the unmanifested component, and plus three rays. So one is the actually there is very different way of explaining, but one is a personality ray, and one is like the physical, like the body completion we need to make, and one is the um, intuitive layer. So we need to complete all these three, and they are called three silver cards in ancient wisdom, and they are tied together. And our Atma, which is pure light, is uh, wanting to complete these experiences. That's why we give birth. So they are called three karmic depths, DB, PTS, DBTS, sorry, depths. Because I have some sort of a dyslexic brain, so I can only talk phonetically. So I have to correct myself for the world. That is one of the things I need to work on. So I talk fast to overcome my what is it called, incompletions. Okay, because I have to talk fast so people wouldn't catch and make fun of like my dyslexic way of talking. Dyslexia is American Western way, but in India, because knowledge is transmitted through vibration, I have to translate it into words. So that's why there is a gap. And sometimes it is tough for me to slow down my pace because that allows uh, my inabilities to show more. So I have to work on my walk center. Walk is throat vocal cords. That's where we speak our highest truth. And interestingly, that is one of my challenges physically as well. I have Hashimoto's thyroiditis, so and I'm very reactive to environment because that's how the thyroid gets activated. So it's like you could see like the patterns and all that stuff. So each person comes with three rays. So we need to understand and work with our both good and bad and bring us into completion. That's the whole purpose, right? So Nithya Yoga, that's what it does. It brings us into completion to all these seven chakras. The Muladhara chakra, which is fear based, and then the Swadhisthana chakra, which is jealousy based, like it's like relationships and stuff, and then the Manipura is like the cloud or the ego. It's a lower ego. Um, Sometimes many of us live in this lower three centers. So essentially, we are the lower ego is driven by our images inside and outside, and then the heart center, which is the higher evolved heart center, which is Anahata chakra, which is Ananda Ganda influence at the highest level, and then the throat center, which speaks our highest truth. So we need to be very integrated with our speech, um, like a word, like be impeccable with your word. You give a word, like be conscious about energy we are emitting, because what we say we manifest. And then Ajna Chakra, which is again the ego center. And interestingly, and then Sahasrara Chakra. Sahasrara Chakra is the divine heart. Okay, so the divine heart, and Anahata is the physical heart. Together, we have twin hearts. That's the way we communicate with the world. So, and then we have this under the navel center, the solar plexus, which gives us the completion based experiences in this world. And that's how we create our career, our relationship, and all the other choices. So, in energy, during my previous initiation, my teacher, after he initiated, I did meet my current teacher in energy, and he showed me the Vishuddha chakra is not actually a single chakra. it has a split energy. So it will be like on the back because we have the ability to see through the back as well. So it will be golden in energy on one side, and one side is blue in energy. So it has split. So it has two levels with a bridge in between. And I'm sure my teacher will correct me in future. So there are like lots of i- innuendos in our decision. And what my teacher said, and just now he corrected me, so I could see what he was saying. So he said Shiva has five heads, which you guys, if you see, yes, like the five layers are physical, Annamaya Kosha, physical, like whatever we eat becomes the Anna. Initially, it is like coming from outside in, but actually, when you ascend, it is inside out. Okay, so the physical body, pranic body, which is desire filled, mental body, which is guilt filled, and then the etheric body, which is pain filled, and causal body, which is the completion of all this. So when we retract our life, we need to go through these processes to complete with them. And in completion, overcoming fear of death and working through our fear and overcoming the future based living, which is like, desire driven uh, greed and neediness. And then the third one is the guilt driven, which is based on the past. So always like staying back in the past, being depressed, not able to move through life. Etheric body, which is pain associated because we are not in the past, which is um, letting go and exhaling, and not in the future, which is taking proper deep breaths and then coming into pain free status. Letting go is to get into the causal body, which is to be in completion. So we are not always in a comatose state, um, not living our life to the fullest. So Shiva has all these five heads, but the way it works is the first head is logical. So my teacher draws it from, is it left to right? Yeah, that's logical, logical. I think it comes from the heart to the side, the right side, and then you become visual, like how I am more, like I listen better, but perception I need to work on more. So logical, visual, which is like right brain, like seeing the big picture, and depth. Depth is when we go into the Ananda Kanda. So that's why the Vishuddha chakra has two. Do you understand? So it kind of like, because you need to go through the back heart, not the front heart. Front heart being emotional, whereas the back heart is, I got your back. Remember, like how even in the military they say, you keep moving forward, God got your back. So that's what he said to correct me when I'm talking this. So these seven energy centers works for us, for our environment, for our career, for our world, country, universe. So when you live in an environment, you also need to align with the highest space in there. Like let's say, like now they have a standard of living, which is the seventh chakra, right? Sarastra chakra. So in the workplace, you cannot run your agenda. So you need to be in harmony. In addition to working with yourself, you need to also work with the dynamics of your environment, dynamics of your country. So that way you will be in completion everywhere. So this is the seven layers. This is exactly what they do in those 2-day workshop in Nithya Dhyana Yoga, which is amazing. They go through each centers and you could see how you fit in and how you release it. Okay? So after that, when you go into Nithya Kriya Yoga, the interesting thing that happened to me was I was interested only in Nithya Dhyana Yoga, and I really didn't care for Nithya Kriya Yoga. But because I love my teacher, I decided I'm going to do both, because I really wanted to support him. And I love my teacher, so whatever I could do to support his cause, I want to be there. I cannot physically be there because I have to raise my kids, and I'm committed to my family with my physical body. So I feel I want to be grounded too, because I'm committed to my work. So I am committed to my clients. So I want to be engaging physically in my breathing space to keep my community healthy. So I committed to the cause of ending the opioid crisis and overcoming addiction, and also in my home to give a very good childhood for my kids. So this is my commitment, and I want to keep it. But at the same time, when I have my personal time, I do love to go visit my teacher. So having the webinar was a wonderful way to connect. So the Nithya Kriya Yoga, I really didn't care for it, thinking that's not something I'm going to be interested in, but I'll just book it anyway. But come to find out, actually, I like Nithya Kriya Yoga now better than Nithya Dhyana Yoga. Nithya Dhyana Yoga is 2 day. Nithya Kriya Yoga is 5 day. Nithya Dhyana Yoga is $100 versus Nithya Kriya Yoga is 5 day, $250. But the thing that was amazing for me was each Nithya Dhyana Yoga, which goes over 7 energy centers, each 7 energy centers have 7 sub-layers. And that's what Nithya Kriya Yoga was about. This came into place for me because I learned this with my previous teacher. And he didn't elaborate, but he gave me a hint. When I come across, I will get it. Because I asked him in front of everybody. My previous teacher is Master Chokufu. He is a Grandmaster Chokufu. He's from Philippines. He's an engineer, and he wanted us to be very grounded. He teaches something called Arhatic Yoga, which is highly synthesized individual. Arhat is his path. And in that, he said it's very important, even if your teacher gives you anything, to check in the facts and, like, really do it from a common sense perspective, not to blindly follow anything. So he gave me a good, what is called baseline, so to speak. Like, and before that, I did have my energy mother. So I worked at the energy part of motherhood, mother spirit. So that's how, like, my original teachers were all, they called them Shaktas. And then I got involved with Master Chavakuksui. And then I got involved with Sri Nithyananda Swami. And when I met Master Chavakuksui, we were in spiritual essence of mind. Do I have that? Look. So I think I have it. So this is the Master Chavakuksui. He says he did the Arhatic Yoga, how he evolved it and stuff. But he had encounter, just like Sri Nithyananda Swami. He was invited, um, and he went in. He was teleported to a place, and that's how he got initiated. And Swami Nithyananda had uh, an experience. He was that ascended being, so he was able to learn from his own highest self. So you could see the similarity. And so when Master Choa said there are 7 sub-layers to 7 energy centers, so 7 multiplied by 7 is 49. So we need to work on that. But he didn't elaborate on it, and plus I couldn't ascend on his uh, pathway either because I was still caught up with my own way of working, and I couldn't integrate myself. So one thing I promised myself is when I come across the next teacher that I would do my best to integrate myself properly, because I kind of um, checked myself out of the other program because I couldn't keep pace. The lessons were too fast and I couldn't keep pace. So that's why I am very committed to working with Sri Nithyananda Swami. And the way I encountered him was through the Kashi threads, prayer threads. And so I exchanged this with him because I brought him as a prayer thread to this country. And so the Nithya Kriya Yoga, finally I understood what Swamiji says is you need to be in completion, meaning like you need to have no difficulty accepting any challenges life throws at you. And if there is a challenge, to work through that so you are completely um, in harmony, so that you're not fighting the problem, you're not staying back in guilt. Instead, you're moving on through the flow of life. and not letting the life um, block you. Instead, be like the river and flow through life, even if there is a boulder. Just like Ganges, like with determination, she overcomes these problems. Flow through life. That's exactly what my previous teacher also says. He says, don't think of it as a blockage. You think of yourself as a water body, like flow through all uh, the boulders. So the completion part is what I got finally when I got the Nithya Kriya Yoga. So I could finally see, oh my God, so each energy center needed that 7 day, or rather 7 physical body breakthrough to overcome each energy center completion. So you could see how we needed to do it so much work on itself for each energy center to go past it. So this brought up another point. In India. They call it Shakti Park. It is 54 body parts. It actually ranges from 51 to 54. The reason I picked the 54 because officially they recorded until 52, but our DNA, which is two strands, right? You got like um, two parallel strands. They makes up the 54 because the start of DNA vibration is 52, 54 hertz. And so our goal should be to get back to the highest vibration, which is 84 hertz. So you could see how the Rudram, which is manifested through Sri Nithyananda Swami, because he has this big Atmalinga, which they chant non-stop Rudram there. And it kind of fell into place for me. And I was fascinated by all this that happened. So when you complete with this 54 vibration, your being is complete. So in India, there is a belief system that after 50 years, if we do not come into completion, we are still stuck in pain body. God gives us permission to leave this body so we can begin a new life. So random deaths are possible between the ages of 50 and 54. And so I was thinking about all the events that is happening in India, and there is a major actress who died, so you could see like the patterns, like how it is important for us to understand all these, because the Mrityunjaya mantra is what we will need to offset these 7 deaths. So I'm going to play quickly this Mrityunjaya mantra. When I'm on the right, always the sun will come do a little hello with me. So I see. So the universe responds to our intention. So whole life is about life of flow. So then how the Mrityunjaya plays a part, right? So there was um, ancient story that there was a couple who were looking for child and they didn't have children. So God gave them a boon. He said, if you want a child who can only live 16 years, but he would be very spiritual, or have a long life for your child, but who would never be um, helping others, just be very involved in raising themselves and just be content with themselves, who would you choose? Like demon like existence versus pious existence. So they chose a baby with only 16 years to live. And he was told as soon as he was born that he would only have 16 years. But the child, because he was very spiritual, he was initiated into this Mahamrityunjaya mantra. His name was Markandeya. So he went and he started meditating, and Shiva took him in his fold. And when Yama came, Shiva actually kicked him out. So Yama couldn't finish his job. Yama is god of death. And because of that, Markandeya became immortal. And that's why the Mrityunjaya mantra is very powerful. But the story goes further for me because I was born in a place in India where the god there they worship, he is the bestower of grace to people who are ungrateful. So he's called Opila Appan. That is like an incomparable father figure. Appan means like a nurturer, father figure. So for him, and because I was born there, I was drawn to him as well. And plus, I could see immediately, like, my whole purpose is about being grateful because that's what causal body is about. Being grateful for both pain and pleasure. That's how we get into the cosmic body, which is like in a joyful state, bliss state. And that's what Nithyananda Swami is for, to be in a blissful state. So unless you achieve all these states, you cannot get into the nirvanic state, which is what the ultimate goal of all being is to be in a place of unclutching, not to let the thoughts create a relationship inside. So you create a memory, whether good or bad, and to go beyond that and to complete each process. So when I was with Master Chocolate, so he initiated me via back art, and he did the Shakti part because I asked him what is Nirvikalp versus Shakti part. He laughed at me and he asked me to come here and through the back heart initiated me. So he initiated the first seed, but I could feel nothing, but I didn't want to offend him, so I didn't say anything. So when I did Sadashivoham during alumni meeting, my teacher, he said he will initiate into Shai Shaivism. Shaivism had few rules. When I went there, he said I shouldn't be eating meat and stuff, but for some reason he took grace on me. Thank you, Sadashiva. And so he initiated me, even though um, I was not following all the practical Hindu ways. So in that Sadashiva workshop, Sadashiva alumni, he initiated me, and that's when I felt the seed drop into another window. I felt plonk, plonk, two energy drop. So I'm like saying, why did I get two seeds? So I kept writing to him. I said, Swamiji, what do you mean? Like, is this energy? Is this that energy? Did you open my Hara center? Blah, blah, blah. He finally said, no. He says it is my. So I had to ask questions, okay? So I couldn't get a straight answer. And finally, he said it is actually his bioenergy. I asked him, is it your bioenergy? He said, yes. And I was again questioning, why should there be two seeds, right? Like, I thought he put in one seed. But what it is he says once he initiates the previous seed that is in dormancy, see like how Shan is writing, right? Actually gets activated. So I could go back and receive the blessing in time of my previous teacher, in the current time, Sri Nithyananda Swami. So it was so beautiful, completion by itself, the initiation. So I could get both seeds, and that one started blossoming as well, and this one as well, and I felt super blessed. So I'm saying, seriously, if you really want a good spiritual experience, you want to do it at your own pace, and you want to do it from your home, the best way to get initiated by Sri Nithyananda Swami is both Nithya Dhyana Yoga and Nithya Kriya Yoga. I would suggest do both, whether you understand it or not, because you might think, oh, $100 versus $250. You have to do it via transport to India. So might as well get $350 commitment and make it. I mean, this is what I would do. I'm sure, like, you guys can do whichever way you like. But I think one is needed for other as well because you need all seven energy centers and all seven sub layers. You can afterwards work at your own pace, but ultimately you get this joyful 7 day experience and you're done, and then you can, like, keep working on it. So now to come back to the way he's modeled this year, Nithya Dhyan Yoga at $100. That is followed by Nithya Kriya Yoga, which is so Nithya Dhyan is 2 days. 5 days is Nithya Kriya Yoga, which is $250. Then it goes into a 10-day workshop. It's called Nithyanandam. Nithyanandam is a 10-day workshop to stabilize our mood because we need to reset our microbiome. Everything is pitta layer. If you understand this, you would get it. The pitta layer creates a thin layer of bile in the brain. In the past, Western medicine used to believe there is no lymphatics in the brain because I also work with cannabinoids. Finally, we have figured out actually the CB2 receptors, which used to be immunity issues in the body, which is reset by endocannabinoids, also exist in the brain. See, again, the sun is blessing. So the brain beta layer is influenced by our hormones. So if you are bipolar, if you are anxiety, you have depression, you have mood swings, you need it to be reset. And there is no medicine that's going to cure it unless you reset your human microbiome. The human microbiome are like transformers. These are the organisms that we hold in our belly, and the ones we feed is one that occupies our thought. And that's why, like, all these, even in sea diff, right? The treatment is to do fecal transfer. Can you believe it? But when you go to India, you would be able to reset it in a proper manner. So you will get the original culture the human being had once upon a time before this modified food and genetically modified engineering and all these new CDC reports about organelles and, like, all these DNA that they are embedding in people so they can transfer signaling incorrectly. So the electromagnetic EMF radiation and EMF frequency disruptions to our DNA that breaks it is going to be a problem in future. So if you want your mood to be reset, this 10-day Nithyananda Yoga to reset your pitta layer would be very important. And that would allow you to not to have mood swings, to have reset your biorhythm. The biorhythm takes 10 days. So that's why you need the 10 days. That's why, like, in India, there is a very famous sloka called Siddha Lakshmi. Lakshmi is the mother of abundance, but Siddham is the memory we hold. So if your memory has to be sweet, but the whole life is about holding sweet memories. Siddha Lakshmi meditation goes like this. So day one, she goes into the breathing space. So Shiva explains her as his great, great, great baby daughter. Okay, so he's explaining it to his programmer. Vishnu is his programmer. So he says, "Hey, let's do a game together. Okay, you need to design it for me. I have this baby girl which she's constantly occupying my head. She plays with the ganges in my head, and she always swims around, and, like, I can never forget her. Okay, this is my idea. Like, so let's say, that's the way you think of making movies and games, right? So she's my baby girl. She comes into people's breathing space and figures out who they are about. So she goes into the breathing space the first day of the lunar cycle, which is full moon or new moon, and she enters and becomes the Yambake, three three-eyed vision. Okay, so she goes and gets the inner vision of what this person is about. And then the second day, she becomes Vaishnavi. Vaishnavi is about behavior reset. Interesting story about Vaishnavi. Vaishnavi was uh, 16-year-old girl. She was in love with Ram, and for some reason she wanted to get involved with him, and she fell in love with him. And Ram, at that point, my previous teacher is Ram, so that's very interesting because I was very drawn to Vaishnavi. So Vaishnavi's temple is in Himalayas, and they say only when she calls you can go. Mata bulate hai. So you cannot just let that random visit her. She's very, very strict about behaviors. You cannot have a bad behavior to go and visit her. So she was doing a penance and she wanted to meet Ram, and she asked whether she can marry him. So Ram tells her that he is committed to Sita in that birth, and so he says he cannot really marry. But he's like, has a tongue in cheek attitude. He must have a very good sense of humor. So he tells her, knowing what she's going to choose, but I'll give you an escape clause. When I come back, I'm going to Vanavas, so it is the Mahavan, ultimate forest, where they're going to camp out for 14 years according to his mother's wish, his stepmother's wish rather. So he says, when I come back, on the way back, if you recognize me, I will have you in my life. Okay. so so she agrees and she waits and prays and prays and prays. Then when he comes back, of course, like he's aged and he's gone through the war. He pins his wife back. He has taken a beating in life, right? Like, that's physical way of describing, but to mask who he is, deliberately chooses to be in a old man form. So he ages further as well when he meets her. And he looks at her and he asks, "Would you marry me?" or "Would you be in my life?" or whatever phrase he used. I have no idea. Um, I don't know whether this happens after he leaves Sita in the forest again. I have no idea, like what is timeline. Uh, so Vaishnavi couldn't recognize him by the time, so she uh, boos him off, and then he reveals to her his real form, and she goes into this remorse. She says, "Please take me back." So he laughs and he moves on. And I think that's the way. So the second day is about behaviors. Okay, so you need to understand how to attract things by behaving in the proper manner. So that's a whole legend about her, and there are like lots of other legacy as well about her, which I love. So the second day she becomes Vaishnavi. Third day becomes she becomes Kamala Kama. There is the sweetness in the heart. The sweetness of heart is about unconditional love, doing what is right for others. On the fourth day is Surasundari. Because of that, she takes this beautiful meaning of a person, and that makes Vishnu falls in love with her on the fifth day, which is the programmer. The programmer falls in love with her. He says, "Oh my God, I'm going to hold her in my heart," because he finally gets the idea what she was trying to tell. And so he makes the unit of this um, playful being on sixth day, Vishnu Vedata. That is, Veda is the way the physics are transferred. So he makes the unit of what is this whole thing is about. The seventh day, Vararoha, they still have to prune certain um, perceptions so that the people will get truly the sense of what it is. The eighth day, Varadayini. So she becomes the ultimate fulfiller of anybody's wishes when they play with her in this game. Ninth day, uh, Kande Trishula. She becomes declaration. Hey, I am this. My identity is about this. So Kanda Trishula is the energy unfurls, so she hears better, and then the tongue falls and she declares her identity. Okay, so the mold is made, right? And then the 10th day, Deva Devata, they have a board meeting with all the divine beings, and they say, "Oh my God, we have developed this new strategy, how to make people create sweet memories inside, so they never need to be miserable no matter what they are going through. We're going to have a strategy in the form of Siddha Lakshmi." So then, 11th day, she becomes Ekadashi, she becomes Siddha Lakshmi. That is, she creates the sweetest memory in everybody. On 12th day, Lalitatmika. So this becomes the unit of the force behind which Shiva decides to act. On the 13th day, Pradosham, is when Shiva on his bull comes across and uses the bull to stop. And so he focuses on Lalitatva, and he takes that unit, and together they create the celebration, time and space. So on the 14th day, it's presented to the people. So on full moon and new moon, the mind center comes home. Otherwise, it goes like Nithya Kriya Yoga, it goes through 7 centers, up and down, up and down, up and down. On the full moon, the mind center comes into the heart center. Ananda Kanta. New moon, I mean full moon it comes to Sahasrara chakra. New moon it comes to the heart center. Ananda Kanta, the Sahasrara chakra, the twin heart. That is the Hara center, I think, but maybe Swamiji can correct me. So the Hara center, I think, was my blessing with Master Chocolate Ananda Ganda is my blessing with. Sri Nithyananda Swami. So I got both the seeds, and I am so stoked, as they say, in American way. I'm super thrilled. So this the 10-day workshop, right? So you need to understand. I'm not sure um, this is the way it would be taught there, but this is my understanding of the workshop. And so they would do the yoga, they would do all the reset for you guys. So the 10-day, the reason is in, I do Nadi Vaidyam. Nadi is meridians. That's the way we connect with the world. So the Nadi Vaidyam, the biorhythm is 11-day biorhythm for us. And the pause exists between each biorhythm. So the 12th day until 15th day, right? When the breathing stays clear, I mean, that's 72 hours when the mind center comes into place. Whatever we eat on the 11th day influences for the new moon, full moon. And if by chance we can reset that 72 hours by doing fasting, liquid fasting on the 11th day, you would be able to not have mood swings. So Nithyananda resets those 10-day biorhythm. And I'm telling you why it is 10 day and why it's important. Because the yin and yang cycle, yin cycle is only 5 days. You don't need an external source because yin cycle is about energy going in. So since your master is initiating, he's directly inside you. He connects with us through the heart. So you don't need to open up extra day. But whereas the yang cycle, because it's our individual presentation of this understanding, it's a 6 day cycle. So in Chinese medicine, that's why biorhythms are 11 days. In India, that's actually in Chinese it's 10 days, but in India it's 11 days. Because the 11th day is when the mind center gets reset. Let's assume you had a wish. And imagine how many moons it will take for us to achieve that wish. That is determination. The will persistent, like, by doing it again and again, clearing our throat center, we can make every wish come true. Every wish. That's why it's important to do this 10-day biorhythm reset. Okay, that's Nithyananda, which is $2,000. And then if you want to pursue further, inner awakening is a 21 day program, which again you will get a human microbiome reset. But the inner awakening is about fourth tattva, like how you have impeccable with word, like um, how the Western teaching is with Michael Rose. Same way, it's in Bhagavad Gita, which is the Veda, the whole universe operates under. It is about how do we have a good inside understanding of ourselves. It's called inner image. And outside, how do we represent ourselves? Our ego, its outer image, and how others view us, our attributes. So, how we view ourselves outside is our ego, which is attitudes, and how others view us is attributes. So, if there is a disharmony there, we are going to not be very good at jobs and stuff. So, to have material abundance, you need to have in sync outer image and others' image. And then, if in case life is different from what we project our life to be, so that is, we are not being grateful for what we are, where we are at. Instead, we are running our agenda. So, if by chance there is a discrepancy there, life becomes miserable. Versus if life image is exact portrayal of how we want our life to be, it's a miracle. So if you want to reset all these four categories, you need inner awakening, which is $8,000 per month. And it includes, like I said, maybe I didn't say this. It includes your hotel, food, stay there, the courses. So it's 21-day program. So the only thing you're going to pay for is your flight. Once you land there, you'll be picked up, dropped off. Same thing with Nithyananda. The 10-day your stay is included, which is $2,000, right? In between, there is another category. If by chance you are not able to make money and you're miserable and you don't have a career, you don't have a goal, he does the yoga teacher training, which actually is a $6,000 program. That is again 21 days. but it allows you, when you finish that, to come back and create your own yoga studio. And it teaches you ancient way to do yogas, so you'll make 45 to $75 per hour. So you'd have career path in the middle, spiritual path, both sides. Okay. And then the last one is Mahasadashivoham, which is a 31-day workshop. Here, he creates new DNA. I mean, it's like getting yourself superhuman DNA, and that's the reason for human microbiome reset. I enjoyed it. I actually did 21 days because in the past he used to do Sadashivoham for 21 days. Now he extended it. But I really think it is awesome. It's awesome because you get to work with him one on one in such a intimate level, so you could see the human in him, how he makes decision, like how sometimes I would think, what would Jesus do, right? Like similarly, what would Sadashiva do, like, so I feel Jesus has a mother spirit in him, Mary has a mother spirit, Sadashiva has a mother spirit, Shakti has a mother spirit. All this mother spirit in us, we need to work very closely for the 31-day reset, because that will give you your life back. And that is $15,000. And why did I do $15,000? I'm going to tell you my story. I had a squatter. I believed I need to help people once upon a time. Now I help another way without hurting myself. So I let a guy come and stay in my apartment free because I really wanted him to do whatever he can. And I picked him up from a hotel on a, I really wanted to give him a head start in life. And I told him rent is $650 per month. And he chose to pay only $100, $200. And it didn't bother me. He stayed there for 2 years and he sued me. He sued me saying I gave him an apartment that's not livable. And there were cockroaches there because he never washed his dishes and it was dirty. And Birmingham Housing Authority took that case seriously, and they mandated I pay town um, and fix everything because it's unsanitary, they said, because he had cockroaches. And even though he was living there, I, as a landlord, was responsible. So we went to court because I assumed court is going to be very fair. That's what you usually think, right? Court would be very fair. So I go. Unfortunately, I didn't realize squatters had rights. And that's when I understood law is very different. Law, I even told the judge, I said I wanted to do the right thing. He said you had no business. He said that's why government entities to do help for these people. Yeah, come on in. Can you give me one more minute? I'm just almost done. So they said instead there are programs available, and we are going to treat this as where you broke the law. We don't care. I said, can you be gentle on him? He said, we are not worried about being gentle or not. He said, we are going to take this case. So I assume I went to the law school then, and I studied as a paralegal volunteer with a lawyer, and I understood what my rights are. So I prepared a 25-page evidence. So it's evidence number one, evidence number two, and I think I had 25 page, and the court, the judge was saying, "Oh my God, easy to do." I thought it's going to be a short case here. Instead, it is dragging on. But so we had 6 points we argued with. Okay, the first point was he said I was deceptive in renting him an apartment that was unsanitary, and I could prove I rented before Section 8, and it was in an impeccable condition. I had travertine tiles, and I replaced the bathroom, kitchen, everything was fresh from IKEA, brand new apartment I gave him, and I showed him the picture. So the judge ruled in my favor. Okay, and then the second thing he argued was that I don't know whether I had that book. I think maybe I used to have that as my notebook. I don't know whether I still have it. But anyway, I don't have it. So the second case they argued was that I disturbed his peace and quiet by asking him to leave. So the judge said that is correct, that I did disturb his peace and quiet, so he won. He won because I asked him to leave. And because of that, the judge said I owed him first month, last month security deposit, which is amounting in a reasonable manner in outside $750 time free. So I owed him around like $2,200. And then the third thing he argued was that I owed him money because I took money as security deposit and I could prove that there was no security deposit involved. So the judge ruled in my favor that I don't owe it. Then he had a lawyer because he was on disability since age um, like for 7 years. So he was currently like age 52, and come to find out he had molested my patient, and I was thinking, oh my god. So I had got involved with somebody, and that's why I got involved as a completion too, because I really wanted to put him in court. And I asked my patient whether she wanted this or that, and she said no. She said she would rather spare her family the agony because she was 15-year-old when it happened. So, and it was in the past, she says she lost her rights to sue him or something. So I went through this process anyway, knowing what I was supporting, what I was doing. And then he had a lawyer because he was disabled 7 years. And in the court, I asked him, did you have, because I represented myself, and I said, did you have an intention of being this way the day one you moved in? He said no. He had a son, so together they thought they will combine their disability income. But his son's girlfriend got pregnant, so he was forced to move out because he was alone. He couldn't pay the rent, and unfortunately, he didn't have skills to do it the right way, and he always succeeded in doing it this way, suing people, and he got it on, and he said he did it that way. So his lawyer in turn tells me because he won $2,250. The lawyers, this judge asked whether I won monetary compensation. I couldn't ask money from this guy. So the lawyer said that if I ever go back, and because I was entitled for $7,000 max amount that you're entitled in Massachusetts as a land owner or a property owner, um, he said if I ever go after him, he will sue me $12,000 lawyer fees. So now I owed them, which is reasonable cost, it seems, for lawyers. So $14,250. Okay. My teacher said his Sadashiva program was $13,000. It was brainless decision for me. Seriously, if I'm going to support a squatter for $14,250, I would rather give my teacher $13,000 and go and get my life back. So that's why I went for Sadashiva. And this guy couldn't go through the process of asking money from me, knowing I did everything right. So he didn't pursue that, and I didn't pursue the $7,000 because I felt it's immaterial to me. But what I got was my life back, and my teacher, that's when he explained to me, you never feel obligated to help people. He says instead be responsible, be ahead of the problem. And I did do responsibility way of living, and that's when my teacher said you had no business supporting another person and they cannot support themselves. He says giving something you didn't have when you haven't finished your debt is not your business either. So you need to give from the place of completion. That is, once I become a millionaire, if I donate, it's a different thing, rather than taking money from my children's education, which they haven't even finished. My kids are still in school. My eldest one is first year of college. I owe $40,000 for his college. My second one is going to $65,000 college. My third one is still in school, ninth grade. So I felt I had no business helping a squatter when I could have helped my family. This is the lesson I learned. And for me, Mahasadashi Rohan was worth it. And I got my life back. I met my soulmate in Swamiji, and like again the sun is shining. So I am so grateful, and I'm telling this so you can help understand, why I did it, what I did it, and how it all evolved. Thank you, Swamiji. सर्वं सद्गुरु नित्यानन्द स्वामी पादुका प्रणमतु नित्यानन्दम्